Sorry, did you say Pan or Pam?
Pam?
I'm here to help with this Pan or Pam conversation.
There's so many good movie quotes. It's another thing that I appreciate about our friendship, that you could just throw one out and you
Right?
got it, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
You catch it.
Yep.
So here we are, the next episode. We're on episode 5 here, I believe, right?
Episode 5. Episode 5. These are flying by, and it's telling the story. For anybody that's just joined us for the first time, go watch episode 1 through 4 as well. But this is the Extremely Conscious Man's story, which is essentially our story. Just how did this whole thing come to be, that now includes a betterman community, now includes the Extremely Conscious Man Inner Circle, and then, of course, our retreat/experience coming up April 24th. Yes.
A few wheels in motion. We're not busy at all, eh, Trev?
No, but there is truly an expansion of time happening here, because we just keep layering on more things and still keep finding time for the things that matter, though, don't we?
Well, that's it. We never sacrifice those things that matter. Those are always their foundation to what we do. And if we don't do those, we're living out of integrity with everything we do.
Yep. But that being said, it's uncomfortable because we're stretching, we're expanding possibilities. You and I are in the midst of planning a second retreat. Of course, we did the first one, and that one we just kind of dove in and closed our eyes and hoped for the best, and everything worked out great.
Yep.
But now, of course, we've taken this up a whole nother level in many aspects, just logistically, the experiences, the facilitators we're bringing in, what it's requiring from me and you from a time commitments, all of that. So there's a lot of uncomfortable
as we go through this budget.
Yeah, it just keeps going up and up and up and up. But it's all good. If it feels aligned, then it's included. That's how we're making our decisions right now. Does this feel good? Yeah. Okay, let's do that.
Is it going to take us from good to great? Then we want to be great. And that's absolutely it. That's, we take a deep breath, we feel into it. And if it's feeling like aligned with all the people we're working with in the inner circle and everybody that's stepping forward to share these experiences and ourselves, then we're doing it.
Absolutely. And that is obviously in line with our theme for this conversation today.
Yes.
Because we are talking about, look like I forgot to change the title on one of these, so I'll go change it later. But the title is The Cold Plunge Truth, 24 Uncomfortable Conversations. We were debating when we hopped on here before, should we call this I Don't Do Cold and Other Excuses? And then we dropped it, and then Mike, I forgot to change it. But hey, we'll say that out loud anyways too, because it does kind of fit into this theme of doing what is uncomfortable, including organizing a retreat in Costa Rica that's pushing well into multiple 5 figures in expense for coordinating and putting this thing on, which has some uncomfortability to it. And I feel like March 2022, you and I proactively leaned into that in a very physical way when we started jumping in a river in our local neighborhood. Maybe give everybody the background on what the heck that looked like.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we had a bit of the cold conversation on our last episode of, when Trev came over and he wanted to check out the horse trough that I have in the backyard. And he bought his own. And by the next day, he was sending me, shirtless videos of him jumping in and messages. And naturally, I wanted to take their relationship to the next level. And
clearly.
So, but no, for real, we were doing it. We had started doing the cold plunges in our backyards and our tubs consistently, and egging each other on and giving each other gentle nudges on time and what we're doing in there, listening to music, not listening to music, all of that stuff. And one day I just kind of thought, what are we doing this in these tubs when we have access to some beautiful spots in nature? So I simply said to Trev, why don't we go find something in nature? And him and I went for a walk in the forest. We're blessed with a beautiful forest nearby with no idea where we were going, if the river was fully frozen over or what. Then we found a beautiful spot in a river that was moving enough that we could actually get into. And I don't recall if we actually got in at that time or if we planned the spot and came back, but
No, I think
I remember the first time.
Yeah, the first time we went down, we didn't actually record that for an official like episode on our YouTube channel, which didn't exist at the time, of course. But the very first time we went down, we definitely got in because that was the one where there was that about centimeter of ice. And neither one of us brought any kind of like river shoes or anything with us. We were just like stomping through this ice with our bare feet, and
our ankles were getting sliced open. I remember because I brought home a bloody towel and my wife wasn't too happy.
Yeah, they found out what we were up to. It was like we snuck out of the house to go down to the river like a couple of kids. I'm going to link that up because we have all these videos, of course, too. I'll put it into this video after I post-produce this and put it up on YouTube. But that first one that we did, I remember there just being that initial like, woo, all right, we're doing it. And I think the adrenaline kind of got us through that first one because we thought this is insane, but it's also exactly what I feel like we need to do at this moment. And it didn't take long. Like within the next 24 hours, I can't remember if you said it to me or vice versa of why don't we go do this every single week? And that was what kind of birthed the Cold Plunge Truth, which of course had some, deeper meaning to it as well, because we were seeking truth at that time in multiple different ways of, what does this life mean? How do I become happy with myself? How do I change my wife? And by the way, guys, anybody that's listening, first, you don't start with that question. I've learned this the hard way, you know.
You are the change.
You are the change. You create the change. Man. Yes, you create the change. I got a visitor at my door here right now. This is live, by the way, everybody. And here he comes. He's going to come and show me. What do you got there, buddy?
This is real life. But
yeah, it's a house.
It's amazing because I can tell you these boys have been in the cold. Look at that.
Yes. Yeah, it's a house. Here, buddy, can you come over here? You may as well make an appearance if you're already over here. Right here. There he is. Yeah. So you're right. Oh, don't touch that. Don't touch that. That's Daddy's microphone. We're just talking right now. We're doing uncomfortable things, but being comfortable in the moment of it.
What do you need a microphone for?
Well, that's a great question. Can I answer it later?
Microphone. If you don't have a microphone, you can't talk to Uncle Mike.
That's right, yeah.
Comes right through the computer, buddy.
Yeah, it goes right through the computer. How about you go see Tita and go in the swimming pool, okay? All right, take your picture. Here, take your picture. Close Daddy's door, okay?
It's so cool.
It's so cool. I love it.
But it's beautiful that he came in because that's our evolution, and I can tell you, both Trev's kids and my kids have played in the cold plunge and been down to that river. But wait.
Yeah, go get your clothes.
I want you to put my clothes.
No, Tito will get it for you.
No.
All right. I think we're off and running again. He might try and break down the door now, though. You know what? I might just let him in and come and sit with me. Okay, buddy, come and sit.
Daddy, why would you not open?
Okay, come and sit quiet, okay, if you're going to sit here. All right. But yeah, Mike, you're absolutely right. Like, we brought our kids into the cold as well. They went into the river with us. We had them in our plunges, of course, too. And then when we cut the tops off those wine barrels, that was part of the fun of just prepping for that first experience, was filling it up with tap water out of the hose and watching them, face the challenging physical challenge. So it was pretty amazing to witness that and to be an example for the boys. Because if we were saying, oh, I don't do cold, they wouldn't get into that thing. They wouldn't have followed our lead.
No, and that's it. And we can tell them about the experiences all we want, but when they're witnessing us doing it in our own backyards, and wanting
Daddy,
to put a hand in,
he is
a foot in,
over there.
Oh,
I'll mute myself when you're talking.
I love it. And experiment. It's incredible to see, and that truly is what you said, Trev. It's leading by action, right? They observe absolutely everything that we do, including live podcasts. And then the other piece of this, of course, too, that we wanted to address was just the uncomfortable conversations, because at first you and I went in together for probably the first 3 episodes, I think, which was just every week we'd go in, and then
I'd have some fun playing around with the post-production editing and just figuring out how to make it a little more creative. And then we started inviting guests. And Danielle was our first guest down in the river, I believe, wasn't she?
That's right. Yes, Danielle was the first, and Arlen had come, her partner, but he was not ready to get in at that stage. He was there to support her in holding a towel and some big hugs afterwards. But it was amazing that when we put the invite out to her, she was a hell yes right away. And you know, as each guest came on, they actually surprised the hell out of us. Like, she sat there in the discomfort on that first one we recorded, and I remember us getting well uncomfortable before she did to say, we need to get out of this. This has been like 9 minutes or something.
Yeah.
And previously, of course, we were probably in there for 5-6 or so minutes, you know, just kind of doing our thing, having conversation. But when we got into real chats with other people, that's when we started to stretch that timeline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think the lesson that we learned on that related to the uncomfortable too was that we're stronger together, we're better together, we can do more together. And it was evidence. And obviously we had a few aspects of distraction too, because the conversation was engaging. I think whoever was talking seemed to be able to last the longest in the cold, because whenever we're just sitting there listening to somebody else, you start thinking about it. And then you're thinking, man, I can't feel my hands right now. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure I can't feel my butt either.
Oh, and it was the after, because for context, anybody listening, this river is 10-minute walk from our house. So not only we're going in this, you know, almost frozen river that's glacial fed, afterwards getting out, we're walking in the snow in the winter for 10 minutes to get back to our houses. And so I think it's interesting because in the beginning we were really doing it because it was uncomfortable and it was a bit of an adventure and it was a bonding piece for us, but we hadn't really gone deep on the physiological benefits, all the other benefits, and actually, you know, really researched it a ton. I know I had read a book and you know, that's what got me into it in the beginning, but I didn't keep connected to that piece. I just kept connected to, this is hard and uncomfortable, and it'd be funner to do this with other people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can see some comments here. I saw Danielle pop in. Hi, he was the support. Yes. I think referring to Arlen on that one.
Yes, awesome.
Yeah. But just thinking about, I think we probably had 15 people actually come in the river with us total. And each one of them brought a different level of going deep with what they were sharing even as we got into that river, because that was the theme of what we were doing, was not only to challenge ourselves and to embrace the cold and to get comfortable in the uncomfortable, but also to have conversations that expanded beyond maybe the surface level. Because a lot of these people, whether it was me bringing them in or you bringing them in, one of us didn't know the other person. So there was a brand new meeting where it'd be very easy to just kind of like surface level, like how's things going? Oh, things are good. You know, business is growing, life's good, family's good.
Yeah.
But each conversation seemed to get deeper and deeper. And I think you and I got more comfortable in holding the space of asking questions and allowing people to just speak what was alive and real on their heart too. And it created some really magical moments in that river.
It did. And we unintentionally, you know, it surfaced that we learned things about these individuals and also their connection with some of them, the connection with this river. One of them had grown up in this neighborhood, doesn't live here anymore, and had at one point run away to this river and was bawling their eyes out at the river. And that was one attraction to when we did the invite. They accepted, and that was beautiful for us to be a part of that release that happened. Another guest, they realized after they had been with us, they spoke with their family about coming, and they were like, yeah, it was grandfather something owns a farm that river connects with. That was another piece. And so there was many neat, another gentleman shared a story. Remember that, I don't even know how the topic arose, but he had been through a near-death experience where an ice skate had pierced his jugular.
That's right.
He was the goalie. And so these are the neat types of uncomfortable conversations that arose when we put ourselves in that heightened state in the river together. So it was pretty amazing as it all evolved.
Yeah. And knowing that that was almost a year ago to date, because I think it was about the first week of March that we first went in, and then we started recording intentionally the episodes for that Cold Plunge Truth around the second week of March. And a year goes by, and as we see in this world, everything seems to just accelerate fast now, right? But the whole cold plunging and Wim Hof and breath work and just all of these things that might have been fringe and not done by everybody and maybe looked at as, yeah, that's a little crazy, I don't do cold. There's a lot of people that are doing this now, and they're doing it for a few reasons. One is, I believe that just the scientific research of the physical benefits of cold exposure, which anybody that's been an athlete knows that even in the 90s, probably even earlier than that, there was cold baths. You did it as a means to repair your muscles when you were going hard in physical activity. So of course it's beneficial. The science tells us that it is physically beneficial, but to me, that's a small piece of it. The other side of it is just that question that I like to always ask when people say, "Oh, I don't do the cold. I'm from England." I'm just thinking of a guy that I met recently here. "I'm from England. I'm fair-skinned. I don't do the cold." And I thought to myself, where else in your life does this show up? That when difficult things are presented to you, that you shy away or you don't think that you can actually do it?
No.
Just give a hard no. I can't stretch that far. That's not within the means of who I am. Where else does this show up?
Yeah.
And not just physically, but also in conversations that need to be had about finances between couples. That's a big one. You know, are you planning your life together? Or are you just kind of floating on a whim and hoping that nothing breaks along the way?
Totally. And that's a story, as you say right there. Somebody could say to themselves, well, I'm not good at finances. I'm not good at math. We could, or we could get past that and we can say, well, I can learn. And I'm one of them. Math has scared me my whole life. But being in sales, at some point, you got to track the numbers and go through all that. But it's stories we tell ourselves of our limitations, right? And absolutely, exploring the cold is just another one.
Yeah, it's a great anchor piece. And that's why we continue to do it, because it's a constant reminder. It never gets easier. It's always challenging. Every single time you do it, you have a thought in your head that says, I really don't want to do this. In fact, I saw your video from 2 days ago. You were, of course, doing like everybody else that people are making fun of now. You had the axe out, single hand slam on the ice, but it was a good 2 inches thick, I want to say, maybe even thicker.
More.
You barely had any water left in there.
Yeah.
But that's a great example. So you had every excuse or every opportunity to say, in fact, I'm going to question you on this now too, because I think your video ended with you putting your feet in there. Did you actually slide into that with about 6 inches of water in it? I
physically could not get into that. I literally would have pounds of ice on me with very little water. I tried. Yeah, it was not for lack of effort. I physically couldn't. So I had a de-icer put in there right afterwards, buried it in all the ice. And then by the next morning, I had capability to get in again.
You're good to go.
Yeah.
All right. So you're off the hook on that one. But you had every excuse to just say, oh, this is way too iced over. I'm just going to throw the de-icer unit on there and just let it melt and I'll get in tomorrow. But you still took some effort to get into it. And again, it's just a metaphor for life. Where do we quit? Right when we're about to hit the diamonds. Everybody's seen those graphics before where you're digging and digging and digging and you're about to give up and all the magic, all of the gold, the diamonds, whatever you want to call it, is right on the other side of it.
Inches away. Yeah.
Inches away.
And that's it.
We've experienced this.
It's the resiliency that's built, right? And all the mental aspects we've talked about the cold. And if you're doing it in the morning, you know, give yourself, this is the hardest thing I'm going to do all day. And that way, when we face those other challenges, you're like, I've gotten in sub-zero water this morning for 4 minutes. I can handle this one. Never mind the reset, you know, to our nervous system and all of that just keeps us calm, collected. But the mental fortitude.
Absolutely. And that's why we're doing it as part of our micro actions with all the guys in the inner circle. It's one of 8 that we established as our baseline to say,
Non-negotiables.
yeah, let's show up and do this every single day. And I will be the first one to admit here too, because I said this to all the guys recently, the water coming out of the taps here in Costa Rica, I just can't do it. I can't find it within me to put the check mark on that one because it's just not cold enough. But by taking ownership over that and acknowledging it and speaking the truth, now I'm finding myself figuring out how I can actually do a proper cold plunge in Costa Rica, which means making sure that the ice coming out of my fridge is going in the freezer every time it's full.
Yes.
Sourcing out the local ice guy, which is a thing. You can actually call an ice guy up and they'll show up at your house, and whatever you do with that ice is up to you. And then, of course, going every Saturday to the cold plunge at the market, which, by the way, you want to meet other people that are of a similar mindset. Just go hang out around the cold plunge at the Saturday market in Tamarindo. I've met some amazing friends down there. And I say this all the time too, that, you know, if somebody says, oh, I don't do the cold, I'm not absolutely sure that I can trust that person, because I'm also going to wonder, what else will you say that you can't do and not actually lean in? Because my people, the people I want to hang out with, they believe that they can do anything, even when it scares the hell out of them. Yeah. And, you know, it's not what they're used to. But there's something magical on the other side of stretching our beliefs and surviving the extreme of the cold that just takes you to a whole nother level. And when you find people like that, those are my people. Those are the people that I like to grow with in life.
100%. And that's our movement. That's what we're doing, whether it's the guys in the inner circle, as you said, or those that have already stepped forward for our retreat that's coming up in April. I mean, they're all looking to stretch themselves, you know, and they're all at different levels. Some have been doing it for a couple of years, and other ones it's brand new to, but they know they're looking for an answer, and they know they want to explore, look inward, become accountable, for where they're at and where they want to go.
Yes, sir. Well, on that note, why don't we wrap this one? Because we're just a bit over 20 minutes, because we had a surprised visitor that was a bit disruptive in the middle. But hey, you turn an uncomfortable situation into comfortability and watch the magic happen. Yeah, it was exactly what it was supposed to be. So
yep.
This was fun, man. Looking forward to the next chat. And if anybody wants to learn more about what we're up to, extremelyconscious.com. That's the home base. Go there, click around. We got a breathwork session that's public, available to anybody, coming in the next few weeks.
Yes.
Of course, we have the Betterman community and Facebook, completely free. You just got to show up. You got to lean in, do the work. And then, of course, we have our experience coming up in Costa Rica as well. It's all linked up on the page. And Mike's got some awesome content and shorts and reels coming up to talk about all that as well.
Appreciate all of you.
Have a good day.